I found this photograph on unsplash.com and I really, really like it. I like the basket. I like the different shades of green and the leaves. And when I was thinking about how to paint this and what kind of style I wanted to do, I went for a more stylistic, kind of modern looking abstract with all straight lines. There are no curves in this at all. These are all just straight lines. The plant itself is very organic and has lots of curves, so I'm kind of doing the opposite and having only straight lines. I think it'll be interesting this way. This is my outline, and I'm probably at the end going to use either a metallic pen or a black pen to go over the lines, but for now I'm just going to paint. So let's look at the colors I plan to use. These are the colors I plan to use. These are all by M. Graham and Company. These paints are so creamy. They have honey in them, along with gum arabic. So they're very, very creamy. They stay wet a really long time in your palette, which is a good thing when you're working from painting at home. To travel with, they're a little too gooey in my travel palette, so I usually don't travel with them, but they're just dreamy. So I've got Nickel Azo yellow, but use whatever colors you have. Use a yellow and green and blue, whatever you have. I've got sap green, ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, quin red, and perylene maroon. And this color is probably one that a lot of folks don't have. It's kind of an extra color, a convenience color. I really like it because it really adds some depth to the greens when we get to that point later on. So these are my colors. So what I plan to do is paint each leaf separately and paint the ones that don't touch each other, then let it dry, and then paint the other ones. And it might be kind of hard to see which leaf is which in my drawing. So I'm just going to do the best I can. So I'm going to start with painting yellow on the outside of the leaf. This is wet on dry, just on the outside. And then I'm going to go in and grab some of the sap green, let it blend. And then I'm going to grab some of the perylene maroon, just because it blends so beautifully with this green and makes a really pretty brownish color. Gonna add some more yellow up here. Let it meet with all the other colors. Oh, that's really pretty. Okay, where's another leaf I can work on? Here is one. It doesn't touch that one. It's kind of an interesting shape. Now go into my green, my sap. This one I'm going to use some of the quin red down here instead of the perylene, just to see the difference. These are going to be really colorful leaves. Some more green. Trying to keep my geometric shapes. Okay. I can do this one because it's not touching one. That looks like it has the yellow and a couple of spots to highlight. Now let's come in with my green. Have a cat here on the brush. It's a very common thing in this room. See how pretty that looks when it blends? I just love this. Okay, I think I'm going to come in with some burnt sienna. I'm just all over the place with color. Okay, moving right along. This is a separate leaf, I believe. I really like drawing the geometric shapes of things, just being different. Let's pick up some sap green. Some of this perylene red or maroon. Kind of a dry brush to pick up some of that pool there. Speaking of that, I need to get paper towel ready. Okay, let's see, what's another one I can do? I need some more of this Nickel Azo yellow. I can paint this little one, this little guy out over here. Put the yellow on top of the leaf so that it shows the highlight. This one I don't think I'm going to put any of the red or the perylene. And I can do this one down here. Need a little bit more water in that paint. Let's try this burnt sienna in here. It makes a real pretty brownish color, reddish brown. Got a damp or a dry brush. I'm lifting up some of this pooled paint here. Okay, I think there's one more I can do. And then I'll have to let it dry. Up some of that paint. I think I'll just put just a dab of the Quinn Red in there. And it really doesn't matter. Just kind of drop in colors and see what it does mixing on the paper. Oh yeah, I do like this. I like the colors. I think when we add outlines over the geometric shapes here, it's really going to really look cool. Okay, I'm going to let this dry. Okay, these leaves are dry, so I can work on the remaining ones. Start off with some yellow here. And I'm going to switch to this green, sap green. Let's add some of this Perylene Maroon. I want it kind of dark at the base here because it's kind of hiding behind those leaves. Dry brush, pick up some of the pool. Some Perylene Maroon. Gonna add a little here. I think this is part of a leaf from some, it's part of some leaf. Just don't know which one, doesn't matter. We're going to paint it. Drop in some Perylene Maroon. Lift up some of the puddle. I think that's part of this leaf over there. Okay, let's work on this one. I'm going to use a little Quinn Red in here. I don't know why. It was sitting over there all lonely. So I thought I would wake it up. Dry brush. Pick up some of the extra, the puddle. I think I missed this right here. This should be part of that leaf too. It's okay. Pick up some of the extra. Now we have our last leaf right here. I splattered some on the other leaf. That's okay. It probably needed it. Let's put some Perylene Maroon right here. put some down the center. Let's make it interesting. Well, those are really pretty leaves. I like them. Okay, let's let that dry. Okay, we've got the leaves are dry, so now I've mixed up kind of this brownish color for the stem here. It's more brown than what this shows. I can add a little blue. That'll make it a little more grayer, I think. Yeah, that worked pretty good. Let's do a little bit more. Good enough. And you see it's darker on this side than it is on the right side. So the light's coming from over here. So I will make sure I leave some white highlight. If I don't, I can lift it. So I'm just going right here on the outside here. Then I'm going to take a damp brush and smooth that edge. Bring that water all the way to the right side of that stem, or stalk, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to drop in some more just on, ooh, that's a lot. That's okay. It needs to be pretty dark on this left side. I'm just taking a almost dry brush and coming down the right side, doing a little lifting. Maybe I'll do some of this Perylene. Give it some interesting color here. I really like that. I love those leaves. When we outline them, they're going to look really cool. They're just going to just slap you in the face with their awesomeness. Okay, I need to let this dry before I work on the basket. Okay, so for this basket, I mixed up this brownish color from the Nicolazo yellow, the ultramarine blue, and some of the Quin red. Basically, it was all the primaries to make this kind of brown color. But before I apply that brownish color, I'm going to use some of this color I mixed for the stem, and I'm going to make some lines in here. Just some lines to kind of show that it's a basket. And then this part here is just, oh, that's a little too much. Just these straight lines here. See how fun that was? Let's add some more here. And then these. I'm going to add a little shading underneath this rim here. I'm just kind of fiddling, kind of going over some of these lines. Okay, now we have to let this dry. Okay, this is dry, but I'm going to take this tiny brush that I used to make these lines, and this is a Holbein Gold 001. It's just pretty tiny, and I'm just going to go on the left side here. It needed to be darker over there. That's the great thing about watercolor. You want it darker, just keep layering it. Now a little damp brush to kind of smooth that out. Let's see what needs to happen up here too. Okay, so since this is dry, I can use my brownish color that I created with all the primaries, and paint it. Another cat hair. Now at the bottom there, I'm going to drop in some of this darker brown because it's darker here at the bottom. And this is the stem brown that I used. Now I'm going to do this part. I'll save that part later so it doesn't bleed in with any of the other. I'll just drop in some of this brown here and there, just for fun. Give it kind of a textured look, and I'm going to leave some of that white there. I think that will look interesting. Okay, I'm going to let this dry. It's dry. So I'm going to use this brown color. Just make a little line like that and just wet my brush and just spread it all the way down. I want it to be a little bit lighter than the rest. This is a little bit too dark, but that's okay. I can fix that later. It's not a problem. Can easily fix that later. In fact, I will. I'll be doing some lifting. Okay, I really like that. Let's add some of this brownish color over here. That's the shadow side. And then some in here, because it's dark in there. Damp brush. This is really pretty. Love those leaves. They're just so bright. Really, really pretty. Okay, I'm going to let this dry. Okay, this is dry, so I've got this little 1/4 inch cheap brush here that came in a set of Himi gouache, and I've got it just a little bit damp, and I'm just going to scrub it right here at the top, kind of back and forth a little. Lift it up with a paper towel, and then you've got your highlights back. You don't want too much water on there. So I'm always taking the brush and kind of scraping it off, dabbing off the excess water. Oh yeah, we're getting some highlights back. And you could even take this if you wanted some highlights between each of these little lines, you could do that. I'm just doing just a little bit. I think that's good. Okay, I'm going to give some highlights back to this, the little back part of the getting some light to this basket thing, because you do have some light coming through. I love doing the lifting. I don't know why I like that so much. Okay, let's get some things happening over here. Just kind of following the shape of the basket weave. Oh, I like that. It turned out pretty good. This bottom part's probably going to be covered by the mat. I'm just fiddling. Do whatever you think your basket needs. I think that's all I'm going to do for that basket. Okay, I'm going to make sure this is completely dry before I start adding my outline. Okay, it's dry and I've put a mat on this. You could leave it just like this and have it look just really pretty like that, but I'm going to add some outline to it. Okay, I've got this Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen. It's a bullet nib. It has India ink in it. It's waterproof. It really wouldn't matter if you didn't have waterproof ink because I'm not adding anything else to it. I'm not doing a background or anything. You could if you wanted to. Now I've got my outline here to kind of help me with where the lines are because some are kind of hard to see. And I'm just simply going to outline after I remove the cat hair the leaves. Oh yeah, I like that. I'm going to turn it around to make it easier for me to do. Some of these remind me of origami shapes. Oh, I really like that. Now for the stem. I'm just doing some down here, not a lot. Oh wow, I really like that. I think it turned out pretty cool. So it's not done until it has a mat. And I think it's done. Love that. Now I've got a metallic pen here, a gold metallic. I could add some veins in here with the gold paint, but I think I'm going to leave it like that. It's just so bold. I just really, really like this. I hope this was fun to do. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing how you interpret this. And thanks for being a subscriber. I had to add a black background to it because I thought it would look really, really awesome with those bright leaves, especially the yellow there on the edges. I really like it. And I like it even better without the pot. Just like that. Of course, I don't have a mat to fit that, but that is even better than the basket down there. I really like that. So that's how I'm going to crop it and frame it. Okay, this is the final, the kind of stylized pop art type of style. I'm not too happy with outlining the pot here. I think that took away from it, but I kind of like this. It looks pretty cool. So since I can never do things just once, I did this again. It's the same, I did it in the same way as I did this one, except I did not outline. I also didn't use as much yellow. So what I did is, this is still the geometric shapes, and then I added some shading underneath, behind the leaves, to show that one leaf is on top of the other. And I'll show you how I did that. Let me zoom in here. It's really simple to add some shading. I've got a dark green over here, and I just laid down the dark green, brushed it right here next to where I want the shadow to be. I took a damp brush and kind of tickled the edges there. Let that paint spread, but it stays very dark by where I laid it down. I can drop in some more. And then let that dry, and then this leaf looks like it's on top of that leaf. I did the same thing over here. This one is lighter. And then I did the a little line of the darker green and then spread it out with a damp brush. I did it down here as well. Can't see it as easily because they're both pretty dark, so I will add another layer right here. Damp brush, smooth that edge. Now that added it, yeah, that worked. I did it up here as well. I think I could add some more right here. Make it really look like the leaves are layered and not just one blob of green. Let's get some more in there. Just, ooh, that's really dark. That's okay, that leaf is really in the shadows. And for the pot, I didn't use the basket at all, the basket texture. I just painted it as if it were some kind of clay pot. And to get this darker here, because that's in the shadow, I did the same thing. I put a darker value right here. And for that darker value, I just mixed everything that I was using in this painting. And then I took a damp brush and smoothed it out. And then dropped in some more dark right here at the bottom. And I really like how this one turned out. This one might be my favorite. So it's not finished unless it has a mat.